What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is AkeemHaynes. I'm a two-time Olympic bronze medalist, author, motivational speaker, and sports commentator. On my channel, we talk boxing, MMA, track and field, and of course, motivation and encouraging content. If this is something that you enjoy, then I hope that you subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into the video.
Juan Francisco Estrada versus Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez 3, the trilogy. So this is 1-1 going into the last fight, right? I'm not expecting to see a fourth fight, but who knows what will happen when these two get inside the ring. But let's get into it. Let's start with El Gallo. He's coming this one with a record of 43 wins, 3 losses, 28 wins by way of knockout. And most importantly, he's gotten the most recent win against Chocolatito last year, where he won that one by split decision. In their first fight, Chocolatito won that one in 2012 by unanimous decision. But that was 108 pounds, if I remember correctly. And Estrada seemed like he was starving himself a little bit to get to 108. So a decade later, they do a rematch at 115 pounds. So a lot has happened during that time. Estrada feels comfortable at 115 pounds. Now, as I said, a lot has changed during that time, right? He lost to a big puncher in Siscaret Sarung Visai and came back and beat him the following year and avenged his loss, and has established himself as one of the top guys in that division, if not the top guy, depending on what style you like, right? Or whom you lean toward. In the 115-pound division is probably his most comfortable weight, and he feels good there, right? Estrada is slick inside the ring, crafty with the shots, puts together good combinations, and he's got good footwork, takes effective angles, and mixes up his attacks and puts together different punches from different angles. He's good at cutting off the ring, and he's very well conditioned. Now, these two threw a lot of punches each other in the second fight. There was a lot of action in that fight. It was a lot of action in their first fight. I think in the first fight, they were combined for over 200 punches, if I remember correctly. He's also the younger man in this fight, so one would assume that on paper, he might be able to control the tempo a little bit better than Chocolatito. El Gallo in the second fight did a great job counterpunching Chocolatito, adjusting and shifting his style in real time. Chocolatito was pushing him back more in the first half of the fight, but in the second half, the momentum started to change a little bit, and El Gallo was landing some hard, clean shots against Chocolatito. He didn't back down. Chocolatito often overpowers his opponents with his pressure and his punching from different angles and the non-stop come forward pressure and relentlessness that he breaks his opponents down. But Estrada gave him a little bit of his own pressure in the second fight, and he edged out the win. Now, if you wanted to say Chocolatito won that fight, I wouldn't argue with you, right? It could have went both ways. When both men are punching with so high volume and work rate, right, it's tough to really say, oh, who got this one, who got this one, unless it was a clear winner, right? There were some rounds, there were swing rounds. So I could see why they gave El Gallo the win. But let's touch on Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. He's coming to this one with a record of 51 wins, 3 losses, 41 wins by way of knockout. Chocolatito, man, went, was it 45 or 36 fights without losing a single fight. When he fought Siscaret Sarung Visai the first time, he lost by majority decision. In the rematch, a couple months later, he got knocked out in the 4th round by the same shot that dropped him twice. Many people thought that Chocolatito's career, the direction that it was going in, was going to go a different route than where it is now. A lot of people were counting him out because the thing is, right, when you lose, it's boxing, right? It's sports. You can lose at any given moment, any given time, depending on whoever's day it is. But how you lose in boxing does play a role in what happens next. If you get knocked out, it can make you hesitant to want to get back in the ring. You hear what other people are saying, and that could creep into your head. And you just never know how you're going to handle a loss. He's been in a lot of wars to date. 51 fights is no joke of a stat. He's won a lot, but he's lost as well. So what hasn't he seen inside the ring? This is a guy who leaves it all inside of the ring. So how he's been able to overcome that loss against Sarung Visai says a lot about the heart and the character of Chocolatito, right? Because he isn't the biggest man. To me, he's a natural 108 pounder that moved up and settled into the 115-pound division. He's a pressure fighter. He's going to get inside the pocket, let his hands fly, body shots, head shots, rib shots, shoulder shots. He's trying to close the gap as early as possible and break you down and wear the body down. He's not afraid to fight fire with fire. He can bang with you if that's what you want to do. Even in the firefight, the man fights very effortlessly, right? It just comes naturally. He might let off a three-piece combination in close, and his opponent is pushed back and don't even know how they got to that position. He disguises his attacks very well and effectively. And one thing I like about Chocolatito is he does not neglect any part of the body. He's learned from those losses, right? He's not pressuring the matter out of desperation. Against Sarang Visai, he wanted to punch back so badly, right, that he didn't cover himself up and use his feet and experience to back up and make some space between them, right, or tie him up. And now you can see his defense has gotten better, right? His hands are up every round. He's not panicking. He's very stoic with his face. He's very stoic with what he does inside the ring. And I've noticed that he fights the same whether he's under duress or whether he's controlling the fight. He doesn't panic. And that's a big thing to have. In life, when things happen to you sometimes, right, and you get hit with something you didn't expect, you try and do something right away to react to it, to get the power back, rather than taking the hit and then responding with it with your experience in a calmness that allows you to make better decisions. The reaction doesn't always work in your favor, but a response is calculated, and Chocolatito has gotten much more calculated since that loss, which is why he's able to fight at this high level, because he's adjusted the way how he fights. And that's very important in boxing, because when you're young, you can get away with a lot of different things. You can get away with taking a lot more risk. But the older that you get, the more you have to use strategy and technique and other things and experience in order to help you adjust to how the fighting inside the ring may be adjusting and changing as the athletes are. So who wins? Estrada's last fight against RG Cortez was supposed to be an easy win, but he struggled. Didn't really look good. Looked like he was working too hard to get the fight. Looked like he was forcing shots, right? He looked uninterested a little bit to me in that fight, and he looked like he was fighting down to Cortez. I'm not going to take anything away from RG Cortez because he fought very well, didn't back down, and made him work for the win. But it wasn't Estrada's best performance, whereas Chocolatito, when he fought Julio Cesar Martinez, looked very good. Martinez is tough. He's a tough cat. He's young. He's fast, a lot of enthusiasm, and he's got something to prove. But in that fight, Chocolatito gave him a boxing lesson, and he looked very good doing it and doing his thing. In a sport where you have to take in mind what the opponent looked like recently, you have to put that into play as well, too. So for me, I've got Chocolatito winning this one by decision. In a fight that is high pace, high energy, lots of punches, I think Chocolatito is going to be the one to land the cleaner shots. He's going to be more consistent throughout the fight. Over the years, watching Estrada, right, there are rounds where he does take off, and it's not always the right timing to take those rounds off. In the 12th round in their last fight, Chocolatito stormed through and pushed through and controlled that round, whereas Estrada took the wrong time to take that time off. I have Chocolatito winning this fight by decision. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this fight? Let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a couple ways that you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel and will be greatly appreciated. If you'd like to follow me on my social media, you can find my social media handles on screen as well. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this time, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.